We're live.
We are
We're live.
live. It worked. Hey, everybody. Welcome to our
Hey.
news call for Tuesday.
John,
Hooray, 23rd of June. Look at all my friends who are here. There is Esther's couch. And there is Say Foss, good to see you. There's Deborah. Hello, Emily and Doug, Jane. Welcome, Lucy. It's good to see Carol Ann's here. Carol Ann, how was your dental adventures? Yeah? No talking? No teeth?
Everything went well. I didn't know that you could fracture a tendon in your molar.
Wow.
Oh.
I didn't know how molars had tendons. I thought they were just, pieces of enamel or something. Anyway, we're all here. Ego, Lynn, Gail, good to see everybody. Candy,
Hi.
Jody, welcome. We're going to have a fun little
Hi.
conversation today. I was listening to, I made a joke just before we went live, so I'll make it again. You guys on YouTube probably don't recognize me because I'm not wearing black today, but that's okay. We'll survive. I am, in fact, John Lavinia. I am not an imposter. And I'm thinking it's getting to be time for a road trip. Like I'm having my fill of this. How do we still have microphones open here? That's interesting. Whose microphone is open? Let's see if we can get this handled. Mute all. Okay, now that's better. But yeah, I was thinking jump on the Harley and which is a social distancing experience in itself, really. But maybe go visit some of my friends in
John, Brenda's phone is on.
Brenda.
Hey, I'd like to make a skill order.
It's weird because it shows that she's muted. Let's see if I can take care of this, guys. We're having a technological issue.
Which
here
Brenda?
today.
Is there more than one Brenda?
I don't think so. Let's try this. That's weird. I may have to eject Brenda if this isn't going to work out. So Brenda's iPhone, if you can hear us, I don't know, maybe check your microphone or see whatever's going on. But what was I saying? Yes, getting out into the wilds, and having a bit more, just not looking at the computer, which I've done. Actually, this past weekend, I didn't take a road trip, but I did something completely objective. And I know we've talked about this stuff before. The idea that with all the subjectivity of, running Amazon businesses and doing e-commerce and setting up accounts. And just when I was logging in here today, the conversation before the conversation was, hey, what kind of entity and setting up this account and that and all the technicals, the logistics, which, by the way, it's Tuesday. So for those of you who are having technical challenges and such, you want to connect with Tech Tuesday, which happens at, I believe, 8 p.m. in the dominant local time zone. So whether that's East Coast, Australia, right? So Sydney time, or New York City time, or London, England time. So Tech Tuesdays are happening, and you guys know how to register for that and participate. I know that seating is limited because they want to make sure that they get to everybody's questions. And the interesting thing too, I'm on a tangent from my tangent already. My original tangent was doing things that get you out and objective things like objects, like stuff, not thinking. All right, just like in my case, one of my favorite things to do is just get on motorcycle and ride on highway and look at rocks and trees. Right, that's pretty objective. In the city, not so much because it's major intersections and people, and they're not looking, they're not thinking, and so it's a conversation about motorcycling, which I know a few of us could have. But in terms of the logistics of setting up your business and all stuff like that, I know we've got a lot of new people here, and we've got a lot of seasoned veterans as well. We've got people who've been hanging around with us for a month or more, which makes you like the old sage at the top of the mountain. My goodness, you've been here with us over a month, right? At this point, you can be and should be, I think, in my assessment, you should have all the logistics pretty much handled. Sure, you're still learning product selection, but when does that end, right? Is anybody done with product selection? No, nobody's ever done with that. So that's a lifelong pursuit. But the preamble to all that is getting the stuff set up. So if you haven't gotten that set up yet, it'd be a pretty good, pretty good idea to get that done in June, right? Because a lot's happening this summer, and I know, there's talks behind the scenes of things that Amazon does to enhance their systems and platforms and Prime Day and all this kind of stuff. Which I'm not going to go down that road, but there's a few things, just a couple, that you want to set up before you get to the point where you're going to start selling. So most of you, I think, have that handled. If not, join them for Tech Tuesdays and get your tech handled, because that's like the least fun part of the business. Necessary, not fun. Do it anyway. Get it done. But it almost sounds like a poem. Am I writing a poem? And then you'll be happy. That's the last line of the poem. And then you can do more objective stuff, right? So what I wanted to talk with everyone about today, I was in the gym and I was listening to a book, an audio version of the book, read by the author. I always love when the author reads their own book. This was one that came up in our conversation yesterday that, who was it that was mentioning? Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This is one that I've got on my phone at all times in terms of an audiobook. I have that on my phone. There's a few of them that are always on my phone. Like, when you can synchronize which books you want to carry with you. Well, this one's always on there. And because it's just so rich. And one of the things, one of the habits that Covey was talking about is to seek first to understand, then to be understood. And the example that he was using, and I think this is very instructive for us looking to communicate more effectively with potential customers, right? Because we're all in sales and marketing, whether you know it or like it or not, we're all in sales and marketing. Okay, so here's your potential customer. They've got wants, needs, desires. You've got solutions, products, offerings. Will they match up? That's a great question. And what Covey was talking about was the idea of seeking first to understand before being understood. One example he used was the father and his son. The son was griping about school being useless and a waste of time. And how am I ever going to, complete all this? And whereas the father, excuse me, in this example, the father was, as Covey puts it, reading his autobiography into what his son was saying, assuming, well, if I was saying that, this would be what I would mean by that. And I would be wrong because now I know more than my son. So therefore, let me evaluate and interpret what he's saying from my vantage point, not really listening, okay, but being right and asserting my rightness and guiding him with the best of intent, right? Guiding him, but at the same time, not really listening to the point of empathy. Understand, guys, there's a difference between sympathy and empathy. Sympathy implies some sort of agreement or harmonious acceptance of, yes, I agree. And there's a few different meanings for the word sympathy. But what we're talking about is empathy. That means gaining full conceptual understanding of the other person or where that communication is originating from. So empathy, fully understanding, not necessarily going into agreement with it. Okay. Not necessarily experiencing the same emotions as. Okay. And a lot of people thrive on sympathy. That's an interesting thing. People like attention and sympathetic attention. And certainly we all enjoy having cooperation, sympathetic purposes, agreement in terms of purpose. I mean, why are we all here, right? We agree that it's good and right for you to be successful online, to create income streams and incomes that will keep on going and perhaps transition out of that job or that other business or whatever it is you're doing. Nothing, maybe you're doing nothing. I don't know. That would be a good thing to transition out of. Okay, so we agree on that. I'm sympathizing with you on that. Yes, I'm an entrepreneurial sympathizer. But empathy, right, implies that we got full understanding of where that other person's coming from. So let's say you got a customer. And this is another example that Covey used. There was this salesman who was working on this big account for 6 months, and it got to the point where, it was Judgment Day, and it was him, and it was this other competitor, right, that could land the big account, right? There's a big sales deal. Lots was riding on this, and the guy was not going to get the deal. It was not going good, and he knew he had nothing to lose. So he's like, you know what? Let me just try on this whole seek first to understand thing. I mean, at this point, I got nothing to lose, right? So he gave the guy some space, right? Some psychological space. So tell me, before we wrap up here, tell me, what was it that was the most important results, the results that you're looking for out of this project, out of this, whatever. And then I'd like to fully understand that. And then let's see if what I'm proposing even makes sense, right? So there's sort of a backing up, giving somebody a little bit of space, letting them communicate fully, be heard, understanding what that person says empathetically, and then saying, well, this is how I would propose we solve that problem. How can you do that? Oh, by the way, the guy got the deal. The guy got the deal. It looked like he wasn't going to get the deal. He worked on it for 6 months. He got the deal. He gave the guy his emotional space. The guy felt heard, changed the whole conversation. Here's the contract. Big win, right? Now, on Amazon, you're not necessarily landing big wins, like you're taking 6 months to sell the widget to the end customer, okay? But does the customer not also have a valid, reason to be heard? How do we hear our customers? I mean, think about this, guys. If you're on the internet and you're not communicating like a dialogue, like we have dialogues here, we talk and stuff. You guys are about to talk when I open up the microphones. But without that, without a microphone in your customer's face, like, what do you think, sir? How do you glean, and how do you empathize, and how do you do what Covey's talking about, seek to understand? A couple different ways, and I want to hear your thoughts about this. One way would be, you're a customer yourself. You've bought this stuff all the time, and you know the features, the benefits, the advantages of this product over that product, which is why you choose to sell this product. You're such a disciple of this product that you decided to brand it and put it on the market and do it even better, stronger, faster, or whatever the story is. Okay. But you're coming from the position of, remember the Hair Club for Men commercials? I'm not only the hair club owner, I'm also a client, and it shows like a before shot. Here he is, he's talking to you with hair. And here he is before, he's all bald, right? And so I'm not just, the hair club president, I'm also a client. Look, there's me bald. So that, I think, screams empathy right there. What's the other thing you could do? You could read the reviews, unless you're originating some product that planet Earth has never seen before. You can really dig into the reviews and see what people liked or didn't like about competitors' products. Right, that's something that you can do. I remember I gave an example of something I bought on Amazon. It was a pen. It was a tactical pen made of aircraft grade aluminum or whatever. Blah blah blah. Anyway, it's a rugged pen that you can use out, in the wilderness and do whatever you got to do. And this pen takes a beating. Right, it's got a little glass breaker on the end, all metal construction. Anyway, I found one for this one. I think cost me $20. And I found one for $8. They looked identical. It was really tricky. I was like, oh, I just get the $8 one. Why did I spend an extra, $10 or whatever? Turns out that the $8 one, I had to really dig in and do my own, as a customer, I had to do my own research. I had to dig in and find out that $8 one was half plastic. They cheaped out. They molded the plastic to look exactly like the aluminum one. It was junk. For $8. So I could have spent the $8, got the junk, broke it, or decided it's not what I wanted, maybe sent it back. I hate doing returns. I like to make a decision, and now I'm done with that decision. I'm moving on, right? Kind of like 5-second rule. You guys are reading Mel Robbins and such, right? So I like to decide and not decide again, but just decide, to cut off from, side, cut, incision, decision, cut, done, stop talking about it, right? That's how I like to roll, because I'm busy, right? And I've got a lot of purposes to fulfill here. Okay, but I could have gotten the pen, decided I'm not going to go through the trouble of sending this thing back, give it to my daughter, and then go spend the $20 on the good one. But I did my little research, and I found that this was the good one. How did I find that out? Because of the reviews that I read. So I got to be amongst the other customers who wanted the real McCoy. They didn't want the cheap junk. Can you listen to your customer? I certainly hope you can. So then it comes down to profitability at that point, right? So now we're getting into, the dynamics of e-commerce and can you actually sell that at a profit or at great enough volume And that's the other consideration, great enough volume that lots of people are going to buy this, and you're going to make less money because there's more competition, but you're going to sell a ton of it. Okay. I know here with Sophie's method with Blue Sky, you're all targeting, 30, 40% markups. Very nice, right? That's worth showing up for. It's not a race to the bottom where you and everybody else get to sell the same crap for, 10 cents less or whatever it is. But how do you fetch that higher commission or that higher profit? By listening, by understanding your customer. And you know what? I think this isn't, me saying, oh, look at how great I am. Okay. I just think that one of the things that I've observed about myself in all the different things that I've done that has gotten me, millions of dollars down the road and, all that is my ability to listen, to really understand where a person's coming from, to read between the lines. And to even be able to do that on the internet, I think is a great skill for you guys to develop. Now, obviously here, we're just talking about a concept. We're talking about a personal development concept. Yes, this will develop you as a person who is revealed in the marketplace as being more valuable than the one who doesn't listen. And I know if we're talking about, $50 products or $10 products or, $20 pens or whatever we're talking about here, it may not seem that significant, but my goodness, that habit of understanding before seeking to be understood, that habit, well, like the title of the book, it makes you highly effective. This is one of the 7. Okay. And that one makes you highly effective when dealing with interpersonal communications. And isn't that all that sales and marketing consists of? It's all about communication. Here's a cause point. Here's a receive point, right? And they go back and forth. That's called the dialogue, right? Cause, effect, cause, effect, cause, effect. It goes back and forth. But if you're never allowing yourself to receive the effect of what others are communicating to you, you get to be, I guess you get to assert your rightness while you go broke. I'd rather be rich than right. Consider that. And I don't think that there's hopefully, none of us of the 233 people who are tuning in live, plus everyone else who's tuning in on YouTube, hopefully no one's got a problem with the idea of getting rich. Relatively speaking. I mean, if you're coming from right now, you're only making 50 grand a year or whatever, working, 70 hours a week at a job. Yeah, even making 100 grand a year would seem rich to you. But I'll tell you what, you get there, you'll see further. You'll see further. I remember the first month that I made over 100,000 in a month. I felt like I had arrived. Oh my goodness. Right? No, I hadn't arrived. Right? There's people that make $1 million in a month. Right? My best so far is 200,000. Not consistently, by the way. That's good, right? That's a goal. Do that consistently. So those are my thoughts for you today, guys. And I know we're 18 minutes in. The mics are open. We got a couple of hands that are up here. I'm going to go to Nicola Black first. But what are your thoughts about, seeking first to understand and then to be understood? What are your thoughts on that? And how can you seek to understand? How can you receive that communication if you don't have a microphone shoved in your customer's face? Nicola, what do you think?
Hello.
Hey.
Yeah, really timely actually. So I've spent all of today, I'm in the middle of, I've used the reviews to source a product. So I've got a catalogue from the supplier and I needed to make a decision today on which colour to go with. So my personal preference, there was a clear winner, but I thought, how can I quickly get some feedback from as many people as possible? So it's not just based on my own opinion. So I thought, right, I'm just going to bombard everybody I know and every WhatsApp group and Facebook group and friends and families, all in the kind of my target market. So I've sent them today 3 options. And within a couple of hours, I got about 30 responses back. And there was a very, very clear winner. And it was not the one that I would have chose. So
wow,
good luck.
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, how awesome. You get to be wrong before you ever invest the big money. That is beautiful.
Basically, I'll not be buying my own product because it's not the choice I would made, but it was about 90% clear winner. So just quite a quick, useful way of getting feedback from, I'm sure there's probably more intelligent ways out there to do it, but it was within a couple of hours I had good amount of responses. So
Brilliant. Oh, well done, Nicola. Wow. Good stuff. Thank you. You just, my heart leapt when I heard that you got that feedback and it wasn't the one that you were assuming.
Mine
Yeah.
would be the boring black one. My savings black, so that's probably why. But no, it was the shiny gold one, that one.
Right, right. Yeah, you know, it's interesting too. My wife runs a branding agency, and I definitely don't have any input on like art and design and stuff like that. If I was designing, every logo would look like a heavy metal band, like every single one, because that's how I grew up. And so I don't have any opinion about the art. In fact, usually if I think it's good, it's terrible. It's terrible. So thank
Yeah.
you, Nicola. So glad you're here. Let's go to Bill McDonald. Hey, Bill. Where's Bill? Did we lose Bill? Bill. Ask to unmute. Bill. There he is. Bill, you got the floor if you want it, buddy. You there?
You got it now. Thanks, John.
Yep.
I couldn't unmute myself. It left you to do it all. Yeah, just basically on the thing that Nicola was talking about, I've had exactly the same thing for a logo. I put out 6 today and got 2 back, and they're at the bottom of the list as far as I was concerned, of the ones that are being chosen. So I can sympathize or empathize with Nicola on that. But the other aspect would be for a public thing. I mean, I worked with in a role that I was dealing with very high-powered people, leaders of countries, etc. And what you're saying about I would have a thing where I have to listen to what their wishes would be. However, their wish may not be what I, as looking after them, need to operate on. So I have to have that diplomatic skill to be able to talk them around to them, then thinking that they've come up with an idea that I've come up with, and make them happy in regards to that. So it's a bit of give and take diplomacy, but it's also listening to what their wants and needs were as well, and being able to sort of maybe cut your own bit back a bit, what you wanted, but be acceptable to change.
Right, right. Good stuff. So you're experiencing the same thing, Bill. That's great.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I brought this topic up today. I was thinking when I was in the gym, I was thinking, you know what does this have to do with selling on Amazon? You know, I mean, this is great for me. I'm a communicator, right? That's what I do. I got to understand people. But no, who doesn't? Who doesn't? There's the 7 habits of highly effective people, period. Like all people, right? Unless you're living in a cave or something, which isn't very effective, by the way. So awesome. Thank you, Bill. Let's go to Obi, and then we'll go to Ego. Obi, where's Obi?
I'm here.
There he is.
Yes, how are you, John?
Good.
Yes. I think once I've created, I'm creating a product in the fishing net, fishing net, and also in the home and kitchen. But on the, I'll just concentrate on the fishing one. What I will do for me to communicate with my customers in this niche is to create an audience. I have to create an audience. I can create an audience, maybe a Facebook group, a YouTube channel. I can also do a blog where I discuss most of my products with my customers. What do they feel about these products that I've recently launched, and get a feedback on them and arguments between my customers. That way, it would help me to improve and also accelerate product creation in that particular niche, John.
Mm-hmm. Have you done that?
Yeah, I'm in the process of doing a blog, and the Facebook page is almost done. I'm bringing in now the production. The production for my first product has already started. But there's one thing that I wanted to share with my friends there, all my friends. How many are we today? 230. One thing I faced when I wanted to do sort of like a mock, like a listing of the product that I was trying to create. And apparently I realized that Amazon, they want me to first register the brand. This brand must also be trademarked as well. So the trademark here in the UK at the moment, I've had to pay 170 for each product that I'm going to do. It's 2 products, so I've paid 170 for the first one and 170 for the next one, and it's going to take me 2 months. They have to advertise it so that no one is in argument about you know, it's about the product. It's about the trademark that I'm going to be using. So as much as I wanted to run fast, I've realized now, no, there's still a lot to be done in terms of putting everything in place for your private label to exist, especially if you're going to sell your business, which means all these things, your private label, your products that you've created, they must be protected. So that's why maybe in Helium 10 they tell you that you got to spend quite a lot on your first launching process. You'll have to spend quite a bit of money on it. So I'm learning this as I go along, but doing it correctly. I never used to do it this way, but I used to cut corners, but now I'm doing it the right way, and it's taking quite a while.
Right. So registering your mark is an option, you're saying, and it's one that you're choosing to do prior to releasing any products under that brand.
Yes, John.
I see. Very good. Because I know we've got some people in the chat talking about that. So now I need to stop for 2 months. That's an option. Okay. So that's some stuff you can do. And I know some people know more about trademark law than I do. By the way, whenever you see a logo or a service mark of some sort where it's got TM or SM, usually TM is what you would see. That means that it's being registered, but it's not registered yet. When you see the R in the circle, that means registered. That's a done deal. Okay, so you'll notice sometimes when you see TM show up as like a little superscript, you guys, that's what that means. So that it's not yet registered. It's under review, but it's in use. It's in use. So thank you, Obi. Brilliant insights as always. Let's go to Ego and then Ivy. Hey,
hi everyone. So on the point of understanding, seeking to understand, the way I see that is when we understand or seek to understand our customers, it actually affirms that person and what they have to say. So what they have to say via reviews, comments, feedback, in whichever way we choose to approach it. And that's actually what they want, not what we want, right? So, and what we all want, because in some cases, we also are our customers. So I would say to actually understand really affirms and values our customers, because we're looking to solve a problem which they have or a pain point. So rather than go in with a solution. So like as Bill said earlier, same thing with my line of work. We have set solutions for different challenges. And even though you may believe that that solution is the best, we actually should go in to listen to what the challenges they have. So if say you're working in, like say the emerging markets or other parts of the world, a solution that works in the UK may not necessarily work there because they have different infrastructure, though on the surface, it looks like everything's the same. So I guess on this, I'd say, you have to risk being wrong. Although I'd like to be right and rich, but when we're solving problems for others or meeting the needs of others, we have to risk being wrong, even though we feel we have the solution.
Beautiful. Thank you, Ego. Always good to hear from you, my friend. Good stuff. Let's go to Ivy and then Moeed.
Hi, John. Hi, everyone.
Hey, Ivy.
Hello. So I've got two things I can contribute along this subject line. One of them is to do with the Black Lives Matter, the whole protests and stuff that have been going on there. And while I haven't responded, I guess as deeply or as emotionally to some people I know, and in particular, I'm thinking of a very good friend of mine. She's been down in the dumps, for want of a better phrase. And so I reached out to her and just sent her a WhatsApp message, and very unlike her, she came back a couple of days later and really didn't sound like herself. And usually, I mean, I'm so outspoken and direct. I would have told her, told her off and said, get over it, get over yourself, and snap out of it, kind of thing. But I felt that this was something a lot more going on with her, and so I took, I think, a more tactful approach, and I just asked her a few questions to try and understand what was going on with her. And I found that by doing that, she opened up a lot more. This time of year is the 3rd anniversary of her father passing on. So it's usually a delicate time for her anyway. And so compounded with everything else that's happening, it's just been a double whammy, and she's not coping very well. And what I found was that by being empathetic towards her and asking her what I could do and how I could be there for her, she almost melted. She just got a lot softer and just opened up, and just probably shared a lot more than she wanted to, because she's a very private person by nature. But I got a lot more out of her than I usually would if I had taken my normal direct approach with her. And so now I'm finding that, thanks to the books and stuff that we're reading, I'm able to, if something jumps out at me that I think she might appreciate or would help her work her way through whatever it is she's going through, I just send her a little message just to say, thinking of you, or I came across this and I hope it helps. And she's actually appreciated me reaching out. So that's on the personal side. On the business side, when I was thinking of products, I've got about 5 or 6 products that I've researched. And on 2 of them, I know that obviously climate change and environmental issues are big on people's minds. And so I thought that might be a good target audience to focus on. And so in thinking of how much value I could add to these 2 products, I thought, how could I package them, or I guess proposition or list them to add more value and therefore command the higher price that I'm thinking of charging for said products. And I found that in doing that, it got me thinking as to what people with that mindset will appreciate. And so I've come up with a few add-ons that I think will make them feel warm and fuzzy, which won't really cost me anything more to do, but it will just be, I think, a nice touch. And I'm hoping that, when I start doing the market research to see how well that will be received, that it would actually go down well with said target audience. So those are my 2 thought lines along this subject.
Interesting. Well, thank you for being willing to look and to communicate. And sounds like you're doing that rather objectively,
Yeah.
which I love, right? I like to make decisions based on, facts, and if we can look at facts, that's beautiful. So thank you so much for your contribution there. There's Ivy. We're going to go to Moeed and then Jeffrey. Go ahead, Moeed. You've got the floor.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for sharing the floor with me. I would like to contribute a few points, a few statements I read somewhere, which are very relevant to the discussion in hand today. Listening and difference between just hearing and listening, and be empathetic in listening to others. Somebody said that the real art of conversation is not only to say the right thing at the right time, but also to leave unsaid the wrong things at the most tempting moments. So that is basically the difference between being empathetic. Sometimes we are more emphasizing on saying our bit and not listening to others. The other thing which was very interesting in this communication methodology is that God has given us 2 ears and 1 mouth, and it is better to be used in the same proportion. So that makes a lot of difference if we are a good listener. So most of the times when from business perspective, we are asking somebody to do something for us. We are asking for a favor. We are asking a client to buy our product, or we are asking for somebody like a supplier to send or sell something to us. And that's what we are doing every time. If we are able to communicate our point effectively and we are able to understand their point effectively, it makes a lot of difference. So that's my contribution for today.
And what a contribution it is. Moeed, you're getting all the love in the chat roll here. Well done, sir.
Thank you very much.
I'll add one little cliche to what you were saying, and this is something I got from a great salesman. He said, if it's not necessary to say, it's necessary not to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
And somebody once very well said that it's better to be silent and be thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubts. So, yeah.
There you go.
So yeah, if you don't know what you're saying, don't say anything. That's the best thing.
There you go. There you go. A lot of people could use that that instruction, I think, in society right now. All right, let's go to Jeffrey and then Regina and Joe. Hey, Jeffrey, you've got the floor.
Good day. How are you, John?
Good.
Good day, everyone. Yeah, speaking to what Ego and Ivy was saying, and also John. We got I'm thinking about one book that I read. Also, it was How to Meet. It's from Dale Carnegie, Making Friends and Influencing People, and he talks about understanding first and foremost that it's not what we want, right? It's what someone else wants. No one's often people don't care what we want. It's what they want. So we need to be able to communicate in a manner where we're looking at the individual's need before ourselves, because what we like, they may not like. And this goes to the most basic, I guess, starting of this business is selling keywords. Right? It's not, even if we make it, the product is cool, it may not be cool. So we want to sell the keywords. And also going further into this conversation is basing it on fact-based decision making, right? Because in the same book that we're talking about earlier, the principles of 7 principles of highly effective people, the author talks about paradigms. So he makes an analogous to the terrain of, say, New York, and then we're using a map. We want a map of New York, but to get to a certain location in New York, we're using a map of, say, Chicago, and that's what's sort of is the way our minds work based on our perceptions. And if we use the wrong map of Chicago, we can never get to if we use the wrong map of New York, we'll never get to the place we want to get to in New York. I guess a better analogy of that in the same book would be he's given an analogy of a sailor. They're sailors on a boat, and they see a boat in the distance, and the captain, calls over and says, "Well, you're coming straight at us, pretty much. Turn your boat, change the direction." And the other boat, they summon back and they say, "No, you change your direction." And the captain, he just starts getting high-handed, and he says, "Well, I'm a captain." And he goes, "Turn your boat. You're about to hit us. You're coming right at us." And then the other person on the other line says, "Well, I'm only a first mate, but no, you turn your boat." They go back and forth for some time, and the captain, gets in his last word and says, "Turn the boat." And then the person responds and says, "You turn your boat." And after the captain says, "Well, I'm a captain," the individual on the other side says, "Well, I'm a lighthouse." So in that instant, the book talks about, again, our perceptions, our paradigms, it can change in an instant, right? And it's a matter of taking time to listen, to actually see the facts and not reacting beforehand. Right? Because I'm sure we've all had road rage and stuff like this, but it's like, yeah, if you're at that very moment, once the person came back and said, "Well, I'm a lighthouse," the captain immediately understood, and sure enough, you can imagine he turned his boat, right? So I guess it's just working with the right facts and taking the time to actually listen and obtaining the right facts from the customer or whatever it may be. Otherwise, you may be working with the wrong man.
Right. Great story, Jeffrey, from 7 Habits. In fact, the in that story, the captain threatened the seaman second class, right? He said, "Look, I'm a battleship." And then it's when the seaman second class said, "Yeah, well, I'm a lighthouse. You turn 15 degrees." And so then the captain turned his battleship, which I don't know if that actually happened, because what kind of captain running a multi-billion-dollar war vessel would not know where the lighthouse is? Right. I mean, but it's still a pretty interesting story. So that changed the whole interaction. Right. I don't care about your rank. I don't care what kind of vessel you're in. I'm sitting on rock. You need to be in the water. Move. Right. So good stuff. Thank you, Jeffrey. Let's go to Regina and Joe. And then we got Christy McDermott and Christina. Hey, Regina and Joe. Where's Regina and Joe?
Hey, how you doing? Hi, everybody. In the present condition we're in with the COVID and everything, a lot of us are just starting up, trying to get our businesses back. And I guess it relates not only in my business, but in what we're doing now, that sometimes when you go back, you're looking for maybe a new approach because things are not going to be as they were before when we left. And so you're not quite sure, you're going into uncharted waters, you're not sure what you're going to do. So what I've been trying to do with the people that I have contact with is asking what they're looking for, asking what it would take to make them feel safe to come out again. What would be their most their highest priority for feeling comfortable in the environment that they're coming into. And right now I have a food truck and you know, it's hard to be able to make people feel safe when they're consuming food. And their input is helping me in even Amazon, because I'm thinking like, wow, this is what everybody's looking for. You know, maybe this is where the highest amount of demand is and what we're doing. So not only in my line of work, but in every line of work, just to kind of find out where everybody's head is. Because what I think might be good might be something that somebody say, well, that's not important right now. You know, so, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes when you listen to what other people are saying, it completely changes, like the lighthouse and the ship, I guess, like your perspective on where you're looking, where someone else is looking. But it seemed to help me out. So.
Right. You know, Regina, that brings up an interesting topic, and that is, do people know, can they vocalize what they're looking for? I think a lot of times if they're giving feedback, let's say, for example, with like actual product feedback, you know, ratings and stuff like that, they may be a bit more revealing, okay, because it's just them typing really quick, you know, what they thought of a product or something. Or if like you actually solicited feedback on a specific product, or but here's where I'm going with this. If you ask somebody, what do you think, you know, about would be necessary for you to feel safe or whatever, they may give you some answers, but it may not lead you to the right assessment of, let's say, for example, a product. It's an interesting thing. Any of you who have read books like Power versus Force by Dr. David Hawkins, who was an applied kinesiologist, talking about how people make decisions, the hidden determinants of human behavior, that they may say, oh, I decided, or I didn't decide because of this, but the real reason they couldn't even vocalize, but it's based on their emotional state. So here's, and this is a huge topic, okay? But here's the one thing that I would offer to maybe chew on a little bit, Regina, is what is the emotional state of the person you're asking? So if someone is in a state of chronic fear, let's say, right, they will give you a completely different answer. You got to be able to listen between the lines and be empathetic, right? But they'll give you a completely different answer than a person who's a bit more chronically, you know, carefree or cheerful, right? Two different realities, same facts. Okay, so interesting, you know, food for thought, a huge topic, but I really like where you're going with this, Regina. Thank you for bringing that up. Maybe we'll talk more about that tomorrow. The hidden determinants of human behavior. Got some big words in there. Sounds fun. Let's go to Christy McDermott. Where's Christy? She's going to brighten our world now, any moment. Here comes Christy.
Am I here? Can you hear me?
There she is.
Here I am. Hi, everyone. So I actually feel a little chaotic right now in my brain. I had a thought that I was going to say a while back, and I was listening to everybody, and I kind of lost what I was going to say. And it was exactly what we're talking about. I realized I was seeking to understand and listen. And I think sometimes, you know, we don't listen. We're thinking about what we're going to say next. And I have a friend who he gets this far off look, and I know he's thinking about what he's going to say, and he hasn't even heard where I'm going, and he thinks he knows, and then he responds, and I'm like, that's not part of what we're saying here, you know. And I think we do that a lot. We want to sound important. We want to sound, you know, like we have something to give, and so we're thinking about what we're going to say without even listening to what is being said to us. So I lost what I was going to say because I was listening to everybody. So I don't know if I have a whole lot of input, just that I think we're all screaming. We're all screaming to be heard on every level. It's not hard. It's not hard to dip into somebody else's psyche and try to understand their position, because, you know, especially, I mean, like the Black Lives Matter and the wonderful LGBTQ thing that happened yesterday. We're screaming. Everybody is really screaming, and if we just stop for a second and listen, it's not that hard, and we just have to get our own egos and our own self out of it, and not think about what we're gonna say next, but really just listen. I know, as I've discussed my health problems with everybody. And I've been in the hospital so many times, and I mean, I've almost died multiple times, and doctors, they can just dismiss you so easily, or you just don't feel like you're being heard. And that's all we want. It's all we want, is just to be heard. And if we're heard, we feel understood. And we just, I don't know, I'm not sure if I'm really adding a whole lot more to the conversation, but I just feel like kind of pushing everyone forward with this thought and just saying, it's not that hard. If we just stop and listen, we've got it, you know. We can easily tap into other people if we just stop for a moment and not think about what we're gonna say next.
Thank you, Christy. Thank you for always brightening our day. So good to see you. And I will catch up with you in a little bit here as well.
Yeah.
We are at 47 past the hour, just about. We got Christina and Therese and Graham, and then we'll wrap up. Christina Diaz, you've got the floor if you'd like it. Christina Diaz.
Hi.
There she is.
Hi, everybody. Hi, John. Well, picking up a little bit on what Christy was saying, I always remember this one thing that I saw once. Forgive my drawing, but can you see that?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Now, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, it's the same number viewed from different perspectives. So I like the 6 and the 9, right? So depending on your perspective, you're right, it's a 6. Depending on your perspective, you're right, it's a 9. So 2 different numbers, 2 different perspectives. The only thing that will break this tie is listening. It's validating whatever perspective you're in order to be able to come to an agreement. So if you don't validate what your customer is telling you, or try to find out what your customer perspective is, you will never reach them and you will never keep them. So that was my contribution on here.
Well said. Thank you so much, my friend. Good to see you, Christina.
Good to see you.
All right, we're gonna go to Therese and then Graham, and then we will wrap up for today. Hey, Therese.
Hi, good morning or good evening. Good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to see everyone. I missed out yesterday, so I was off a little bit. I missed my posse. So I have to say, I am sitting in a forum filled with so many sages that I think I don't even know what to say. I thought I remembered what I thought I knew what I wanted to say, and then I got so moved by everyone. I'm a little bit spun out, but I guess I feel fortunate that my path has been filled with, I've worked in sales for a lot of years, but I worked in the fine jewelry industry, and fine jewelry really is about people marking moments filled with emotion, gleeful emotion, and also some sadness, right? So I feel like I feel really lucky to have really learned how to listen in order to sell to them. You just, 90% of it was just your ears, and then you start showing things and you can tell if you're paying attention what's moving people. So I guess that's what I wanted to say. And after I moved out of jewelry, I ended up on the nutrition side of things, but not in a traditional, it's a holistic nutrition degree that I have. And what I found, and I wanted to, Christy was speaking of that a little bit, medical doctors don't listen. And they know too much scientific and biological, they have too much knowledge on one side, and I think sometimes forget to listen, and they get focused on, solving the problem that is with external cues. So as a nutrition coach, they're also just listening. And so I just feel so blessed to have that skill set dialed in. And I, again, feel really blessed to be in a forum with a bunch of other over 200 people that sort of have the same mindset. And I think probably are real empaths at some level, or we probably wouldn't be involved in something like this. So thank you again. And I want to say one more thing, and I know this is a little off topic, but I had shared with you last time I was on about my vision board and the bunny rabbits and the piggy bank. Well, on my vision board, there's also a Omega Seamaster watch. And I love watches, but I worked in fine jewelry for years. So I have a couple of, my home was broken into about 7 years ago, and they took everything I had. Yes, I was insured, but you can't replace those things. So anyway, this Seamaster watch is on my board, and I ran into a friend that I hadn't seen in a really long time. We connected during this kind of crazy COVID. And 3 days ago, my friend gifted me a Seamaster chronometer. So it's not the exact same one, but they had it, they collect watches, and I don't even know how it transpired, but it was gifted to me. And so anyway, I wanted to share that, and again, just say thank you for the law of attraction, and thank you for letting me be on this path with you.
Wow,
So,
good
I don't know
stuff.
if you could see it, but yeah, I'm wearing it. It's kind of it's a guy's watch, but I'm wearing it as a bracelet. So yeah, how cool.
That is cool. Fantastic. Well done, Therese.
Yeah.
And you'll get the Seamaster as well. So
yeah, perhaps.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's the one thing about being a watch collector, is that you're never done.
Yep.
So good stuff. Let's go to Graham, and then we're going to wrap up. Graham, give us a profundity to
Apologize about that, John.
Right.
Just thinking about, it's funny how you go on a call sometimes, and what you've been going through today sparked something. So I think I've talked a little bit before about my friend who's got this polycystic kidney disease. So this morning, we went to the hospital, and she's getting ready to start up dialysis in a few weeks' time. Her kidneys are getting really bad. And while we were there, and I'm there to listen and make sure we get all the information, I've only known this person about a year. And she had some more blood tests, because it's been a month since she had her bloods, and had all the information, which I helped to absorb. And then we got home, and just having a quick cup of coffee before I came out to do some work and finish with her. And she got a call saying, we want to give you the operation in as soon as possible. Now, this is somebody who's been living with this for a while, and is going to have something put into her body, which she's then got to sleep with every night and have this dialysis. Now, the last thing she wants from me is sympathy, because she doesn't want to hear, oh, it'll be okay, oh, it's going to be fine, because it's not. It's a major change in her life. Now, I'm not the most empathetic person in the world, and I'm having to do some of that to learn about products. So now what can I do? I need to provide empathy, support. So I don't know what she needs. So this is where my empathy comes in now, to say, I can't possibly appreciate what you're going through, but what I can do is find a way to help you with my time, with supporting, delivering groceries, or whatever else it might be. So for me, that it struck home. That's the fundamental difference between perhaps sympathy, which they don't want to hear, and empathy. And then as I was leaving, she had a few tears about it and things like that. And as I was leaving, she's saying to me, I'll be fine, I'll be fine, I'll be fine. Now, I know that that's not necessarily true. So I've got to then be empathetic. And you were talking earlier about not being able to necessarily understand the psyche of the person and what they're saying. So again, all I can do at that point is make sure, walk away, and then say, I'll be there for you in the future. And for me, there's a difference between sympathy and empathy, which I just wanted to bring out. But also, you know, in that situation, it potentially, not wishing to demean it, enables us to start thinking about how do we think about our products, and do we think about putting ourselves in the other person's shoe and actually thinking, how do we understand them? How do we understand what they need, and how do we fit that need? And yeah, it's tricky. It's a tricky thing to do, but I hope I can support her through this in whatever way. And that for me was a fundamental difference and very timely to that sympathy and empathy. So I hope that gives some people a little bit of help in that direction.
Thank you, Graham. Great insights there, and great insights from everyone here today. This has been a, I think, a fun session, and just thank you, Stephen Covey, for the reminders. I'll take all the reminders I can get. We are out of time, guys. I got to run. So I will see you all back here tomorrow for more thrills and excitement. Yeah, sound good? Everybody good?
Yes.
Yes.
Bye, John.
All right. We'll see you
Thank
guys
you.
soon. For now. All right.